Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is our Divi feature update live, coming to you every Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern. I'm really excited to bring this episode to you because we are revisiting a feature which I think is very, very important now and even the future of Divi, which is the customizable visual builder. So occasionally I go to the forums and Facebook groups just to see, what people are discussing and what they're commenting about. And I noticed that quite a lot of people don't actually use this visual builder. So I'd like to go and revisit it and cover quite a few topics in there to just make sure that you understand how it works and how you can apply it to your designs, because this is the future of Divi, and learning how to do this now will be a great advantage. So what we'll be covering is the Visual Builder toolbar, what features you can activate on it. We'll also look at how to disable the animations and also hiding disabled modules. But most importantly, we're going to be looking at the click mode and the grid mode, because these modes are very, very important when you use the Visual Builder, because there are cases where things overlap. So by using the grid mode and the click mode, that solves that problem, because this has been quite frustrating for a lot of people that try to use the Divi Builder. So if you can hear me loud and clear, please just give me a yes or a thumbs up on Facebook so that our audio is fine. Otherwise, we'll go into a problem which we had last time where I was talking to myself. So if you could just do me a favor and just give me a thumbs up or a yes if you can hear me clearly, that'll be really great. And also, I can see there's quite a lot of people that are already tuning in. That this is great. And also some familiar people also here. I can see Toronto hotspots. Awesome. Atif. We have Agante from Berlin. We also have Anne. Samuel. Samuel says, I'm hearing you from Portugal. Awesome. This is great. We also have Daryl Wilson, Lawrence from South Africa. Excellent. Right, as I mentioned, we're also broadcasting live on Facebook. So I'm just going to take a look here on Facebook. We have Adam, Surrender. We have Nikki, Fabian, Stefano, Imran saying hi, Mac. Stefano is from Italy. Awesome. Okay, so let's take a look at our Visual Builder. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start by creating a brand new page, and then I'll show you how I get into that. Okay, so right now I am in my admin dashboard. So what I'll have to do here, I think I'll have to zoom in so you can see much better. I think that's much better. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a brand new page. So I'm going to click on Add New. So we're just going to call this page VB for Visual Builder. Okay, then I'm going to click on Use Divi Builder. So this is the normal builder that a lot of people are accustomed to, but we are going to be focusing on the Visual Builder. So I'm going to click on Visual Builder. Right, so this is where most of the action happens. Now, by default, our Visual Builder works in hover mode. So only when you hover is when you see these controls. So we can actually change that. So before we start, I just want to go in and add a layout to this page. So, in fact, I'm just going to come here to the bottom and click this plus button and load one of our pre-made layouts. So the pre-made layout I'm going to choose is the farmer's layout, and I'm just going to select this. Now this is going to take a while because this is being downloaded from our Divi servers, and also I'm streaming, so this might be a bit slow. Okay, so now our layout is loaded. So when you use the Visual Builder, as I mentioned before, the hover mode is the default. So when you come over here and you hover, that's when you start seeing the controls. Now, this can be quite annoying or quite difficult to grasp in the beginning, but we've managed to resolve that by adding these click mode and visual modes. So if you come over here to the three little dots all the way right here to the left, if you click that, this gives you now the Customized Builder settings toolbar. And these are the options. So we have the hover mode, and we can enable it and disable it by just clicking here. We have the click mode, and we also have the grid mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate all three of them and just use these so you can see how they're used. So I'm just going to come over here and close this. And then now I'm going to activate the click mode. So if I activate the click mode, what happens now is I can actually hover and see where my module actually ends and what space it takes. So, and it also gives you an idea of where I am on the page, on the section. So if I click once here, what happens is the tools for this module are actually activated, as you can see here. So if I put my mouse anywhere else, it doesn't really matter because this is what is chosen, unless you go ahead and close it or you save it. So I'll do it one more time. So let's say I need to make changes to this. I'll just click on it, and then that stays on the screen. So this is where now I can go into the settings as normal, make my changes, and then click on save. Okay. So this is much better visually, and it also allows you to see where you are as you're designing your page. And this is one of those things which I used to struggle with as well when I started using the Visual Builder. This is the feature that I was hoping that they would have, because it makes it easier to see where you are and how much padding your module is taking, or even how much spacing around it's taking. So this is really, really good. So if you're not using this yet, I would recommend that you start using this. Now let's move on to the next one, which is the grid mode. So with the grid mode, again, if I activate it by clicking here on the grid, you can see now that everything gets highlighted. So pretty much you know exactly where everything is, and you can go in and customize whatever it is you want to customize. But the good thing is, if I come over here now, because right now it looks a bit busy, right? No doubt about that. The good thing is, once I go into one of these modules, sections, or rows, right? I'll just go in now into the settings, and then you can see what I mean. All those highlighted items are now gone. We are now focusing on the module that we are working on. And this is great, because imagine if all those highlighted modules were still highlighted while you're working. That can be a distraction. So this is really, really cool. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to move to a different section. So this works, throughout your design. So you can visually see how much spacing you have here, which is really cool. So again, I'm going to come over here into this image, so you can see again one more time like that. And then you can see that all the other highlighted items are now gone, which is fantastic. Now, if you have any questions as I'm moving on with this topic, please do put your comments or your questions in the comments box, and I'll do my best to respond to those questions. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look now and see if there are any questions. Right side up says, does anyone know when this releases? Actually, this was released over 4 months ago, so it is there. You can start using it right away. So that was a question from right side up. So yes, everything that I'm covering right now is already in your current Divi Builder, so you can start using this now. ZenCA says it's live now. Yes, I think he's responding to right side up. Okay, great. Okay, I'm just going to check here on Facebook as well and just make sure that we have questions. Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, no questions so far. ZenCA says, just tested, looks cool. Fantastic. Yeah, that's the whole point of these live feature update lives, because there are things that you may miss, or little features that you may miss when they're released. So this gives you that opportunity to go in and try these things out and see how you can create a workflow. But as I mentioned earlier on, this is very, very important, because this is the future of Divi. So mastering this now makes it much easier for you to transition into into the future of Divi, because the Backend Builder, although it has, although a lot of people use it, in fact, this is something that we may want to cover now. I'll just make a note of this now because I want to show you how you can achieve everything that you have in the Backend Builder in the actual Visual Builder. Okay. Cool. Tran says, how do you 3.1 releases? I think he's asking when 3.1 releases. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure when, but all I know is it's going to be very, very soon. I mean, we've been working very hard behind the scenes to get it out there, but there's quite a few things we need to polish up and make sure that it's strong and stable so that when you load it up, it won't have any problems. But this is coming very, very soon. So keep an eye on that. GMC Comb says it doesn't work with third-party plugins. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Which plugin are you trying to use with Divi? Maybe I can help you with that. I learned how the thumbnail on blog is big. How can we change it? I learned how. What you need to do is to make sure that before you upload your thumbnail, it needs to be resized in a program like Photoshop or any photo manipulation program. So if you do that beforehand and get the right size, that should work fine. Do not load your images straight from the camera or straight from these royalty-free images. They'll be really, really massive. Kevin says, do you see my question? Let me just go back and see. What about equal height with center content? Yes, Kevin, I see your question now. Is that regarding to rows? I mean, is that regarding columns or images that you need to center? Because if that's what the case, I can go in and do a quick demo on that. But again, if we try and focus on the Visual Builder today, that makes me just focus on the features that I need to show, because right now I feel like I'm going into other topics which are not really necessary with this topic that we're discussing today. So I'd really appreciate if we focus the questions on the Visual Builder and how we can make it, how we can use it better. I see Russell Horton here saying hey from Birmingham. Awesome. Right, welcome to the show. Okay, so moving on, what I need to do now is to go back into the Visual Builder and I can show you more items. Okay, so back here into our Visual Builder. In fact, I just need to zoom out a little bit. Right, okay. Now, the other things that you can do here in the Visual Builder are, in fact, let me close this. Now, when you work using this workflow, you may not want to keep this on. So you may want to just use this when you want to see where things are, because there are cases where things overlap. Like, for example, if I come into this module here and add a negative margin, in fact, let me show you that. In fact, let me do this on an image, because that's where we normally use our negative margins. Right, so I'm going to come over here to this image, like that, design, spacing, and then I'm going to add -100. Right, so you can see here, I've moved this image up. In fact, that's a bit too much. Let's try -80. Okay, so I've moved this image up there. I'm going to save. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to disable the grid mode and the click mode, right? Right, so the most frustrating thing is when you use negative margins like this, do you see how things overlap here if you try to click your module settings, right? This is very tricky because every time you use negative margins, you get overlapping. And when you get overlapping like this, it's very difficult for you to click what is behind here because we are distracted by this row. Okay, so this is where now you can go in and activate the grid mode. So as soon as I've activated the grid mode, now you can see that it's now easy for me to click into that. So these are the cases, and these are the highlighted things that a lot of people were talking about before when we first launched our Visual Builder. But now, as you can see, these are easily, this problem has been resolved because you can easily go in and now click all your modules. Okay, fantastic. Right, so let's move on to the next thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save this page. In fact, I'll publish it and exit it. And we're going to take a look at the Backend Builder, and I'll compare and show you how the wireframe mode is actually even better to use. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to open this in a brand new. In fact, let me exit this first. So I'm going to open this page both in the Visual Builder and in the Backend Builder. Okay. Right, so I'm going to go back and enable the Visual Builder for this one. And then back over here, I'm going to edit the page and go into the Backend Builder. Right, so this is, when I talk about the Backend Builder, this is what I'm referring to, okay? This is our initial builder that we launched with Divi. Right, so this is where a lot of people prefer to work in, according to what I've seen online and the polls that we have had before. So, just like before, you come in here into your module settings, you make your changes, but straight away you can see here that in order for you to see what you're designing, you need to come over here and click this eye icon here to do the preview. Okay, and that only gives you the preview of that item you are working on. So you can see here that if I make any changes here, this is what I see. Now let's compare that to what you see if you're using the Visual Builder. So over here now, if I come into my text module here, as I start making changes, it's easier for me now to actually see what is happening. Like for example, if I'm changing the color, I can see here that the color has been applied. And as I'm working on this, I can decide which color actually works from my palette. But over here, you'd have to take 2 steps to actually see what is happening. And this is why I prefer the Visual Builder. The Visual Builder. Now, for those of you who say, okay, I'm used to working this way and that's the way I want to do things and I don't want to change. Well, in the Visual Builder, there's an option to go into the wireframe mode. And the wireframe mode is pretty much everything that you get from in the Backend Builder and more. And let me show you how that works. So back over here, I'm going to close this. If you really wanted that view, which looks like the Backend Builder, all you have to do is to click Expand Settings, and then you come all the way here towards your left, and then click this button here which says Wireframe View. Right. So do you see now that this is similar to this? So this is the current Backend Builder. This is the Wireframe View. Okay, I'll do it one more time. Backend Builder, Wireframe View. So this is why I'm really emphasizing the point that you may want to take a look at the Visual Builder moving forward, because there's more features there and it is much easier. The workflow is much, much better. So now that I'm here in this wireframe view, I can still go into my text module like that. Okay. Now, the quick thing you can do if you want to do a quick preview now, we have these 3 buttons here. We have the desktop view, we have the tablet view, and we have the mobile view. So if I just click this one here like that, it takes me straight into my desktop view. Just that fast. And I can see the preview of all the page, the whole page that I'm working on. And if you want to go back to that, you can just click the wireframe view quickly, and then that takes you back. Whereas if you're working here, you would need to update this page and do a preview of the whole page. So do you see how many extra steps that you have to take in order for you to see those changes. It's more. I mean, it's more extra steps, and I'm sure you can see that it's much better with the Visual Builder. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a quick look at the comments and see if there's any questions or comments. Right. Right, ZenCA says, I use the backend for creating the structure and the visual for cosmetics. Okay, cool. Daryl Wilson says, Wireframe helps find modules when working on the front end that you can't find at the time, like a blank text module. Yes, that's actually a very good point. And in fact, that's something I need to cover. There are sometimes there's situations where you can't find things in the Visual Builder. So it's much easier if you switch to the Wireframe mode. Russell says, does anyone else think that padding and margins in the Visual Builder could do with a bit more development? I think it would be nice if I could click and drag boxes, etc., like I would in the Word document. I'm not sure, Russell, what you mean. Do you mean like the default padding on the default padding on the actual modules, or do you mean? Let me take a look again. I think, Russell, if you can expand on that, because I'm seeing you're talking about the padding and then you're talking about the clicking and dragging of the boxes. So I'm not really sure there. Oh, hey, Michael Dennison, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. Awesome. Right. I've got a question here saying, does it work on iPad Pro too? Yes, it does work. On different mobile devices. So the designs can be adjusted to make them look great on iPads and mobile devices. And I'm not sure if I'm answering that question correctly though. We also have Monique Robinson saying greetings. Thank you very much, Monique, for joining me. Awesome. Okay. I'm just going to check here on Facebook and just make sure that I'm not missing any questions. Tran says, let me ask the Divi version 3.1 officially release date. As I mentioned, I don't have the official release date, but this is something that we're all working on. But the one thing I can tell you is we're working very hard behind the scenes to make this happen, and it is definitely going to be awesome. Okay. Oliver says, is it possible to write custom CSS in the Visual Builder and add to theme options? Yes, it is possible. You can write your CSS to a specific page if you wanted to even. So that's what you can do. But if you want to add all your code to your CSS style sheet, that you have to do in the actual site under Divi theme options. Okay. Right. Let me just check if we have many more. Right. Michael Dennison says, Matt, could you send me a link on how to add CSS for the header slider to move the content right, left, up, or down, please? Right. Michael, I'll have to do this after the show because I can't do it during the show. So what I'll do is I'll get you this code and post it in the comments box, if you don't mind. Okay, so Okay, there's a question here. No, I mean creating the site on an iPad. Now, to be honest, I haven't tried creating a website on an iPad. Has anyone tried creating a website on the iPad using Divi? I'm curious to know that because I've never tried that. So if you have, please just leave us a comment in the comments box. That will be cool to know if that works. Okay, so moving on. So back over here. So I'm sure now you've seen the main differences between the Visual Builder and the Wireframe View, and I hope you're gonna start using this moving forward. Okay. So the other thing I'm going to show you here is you can actually customize a few more items here. So let's say you don't want to work with all these animations, right? So you can see what I mean by that is every time I do something here, you can see there's a lot of animations. If I click on this, you see that bouncing effect. Let's say you're not interested in that, and you want to change that. All you have to do is to come over here to these three little dots, and then here you can see Builder Interface Animations. It's set to on by default. You can actually go in and set it to off, and then once you do that, if you go into any of these modules, you don't get that animation. So that's a little thing that you can go in and disable if you prefer not to have that. Okay, so let me show you another thing, something else that you can change. So back over here into my Builder settings, you also have show disabled modules at 50% on. So you can actually stop these from being viewed by setting it to no. So let me show you what I mean by that. So let's say I come over here and I go into advanced visibility and I want to disable this, right? In fact, let me do this on something that I can see. Okay, I'm going to do this on this image. So I'm going to disable the visibility here like that. So you can see here that to show that it's disabled, it's grayed out a little bit. It's a 50% gray. So what we can actually do is totally not show this as you're designing your website. And let me show you how to do that. So if I come over here, so show disabled modules at 50%, you can actually say no. So all the disabled modules here will not show at all. So this may be something that you prefer to when you're working. So this will just allow you not to see all your disabled modules as you're designing or any disabled items in your workflow. Right, so let me show you another feature that you can use. But before I show you this, I need to show you what it looks like by default. So let's say I come over here into my image module like that. So do you see how everything else is closed here? And the only one that's open is the image one here, the top one by default. So if I wanted to come in and say go into design, change the overlay or alignment like that, I would have to click this to toggle it to open it, right? So we can actually have all these open in one go if we preferred working that way. So let me show you how you do that. So I'm going to come over here to these three little dots to access my Builder settings. And then I am going to scroll down here until I see group settings into closed toggles. So if I say no or off, and then I come back and go into any of my modules like that, you notice that everything is all open now, right? If I come over here to design, so you can see everything is all open, right? So to find whatever you're working on, you just have to scroll down, but you don't have to toggle them to open them. So that may be something that you prefer working, but my preferred workflow is to actually search for the item that I need over here on the search options, because sometimes it can take me longer to scroll and find what I need to do. Like for example, right now, if I wanted to add some padding, I would have to scroll down and look for spacing and all of that. But I can just search for padding just like that, and then all my controls come up. So if that's something that you haven't been using, this is really, really cool. It speeds up your workflow and it just makes things easier. And this search can also work, anywhere on these tabs. So we know for a fact that on the content tab, there's no padding. But as soon as you start typing it, it comes up. So it saves you a few clicks. Okay, so I'm going to check now and see if we have any more questions. Oh, cool. So Derek says iPad Pro, it works. Awesome. So I mean, to be honest, I didn't even know that you could actually design your website on the iPad. So that's really, really cool. Okay. Steven says, I've edited with Divi on iPad mini, but never built from scratch. Cool. So it looks like this works, which is great. Okay. So if you're just joining us, this is the Divi Feature Update Live, which is broadcasted every Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern. This is a show where we talk about our features that are released, where we go into depth and try and show you how we can best use these features and go into detail on them. Because sometimes what we've noticed is as we release these features, some people may not really use them to their full extent. So this is the show where we try and go in and show you how these features work. Okay, right. So I'm just going to come over here to Facebook and see if we have any more questions. Colin says, I've never bothered to look at this before, but I think you may have converted me. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes, give it a try. To be honest, this is the future. I mean, I prefer working on this. And as soon as I started working on the Visual Builder, I've just enjoyed it. And if you've noticed, most of my tutorials, they are pretty much based on the Visual Builder. Okay. Right. So just to quickly answer that question about the CSS, let me just show you quickly how you can add your CSS to a specific page. Right. So I'm just going to close this. So to add custom CSS to a specific page, what you'll need to do is to come all the way to the bottom here, and you see this gear icon right here at the bottom. If you click on that, this shows up the page settings. Right. So if you come over here to advanced CSS, this is where you can add CSS for this specific page. So whatever you add here does not affect the rest of your website. So this is where you want to come, page settings, and this is where you add your CSS code. But if you want CSS that affects the whole website, you would have to go into Divi, theme options. In fact, let me leave this. Okay, and then you scroll down here and you can see here where it says custom CSS. This is where you'd add your custom CSS, or you can go to appearance, click on customize, and this will take you to this page right here. And then you can go to additional CSS, and this is also where you can add your CSS code. Okay, but as I mentioned, you can just add your CSS code by coming to the bottom of the page and clicking this gear icon here to access your page settings. Okay, so I think I've covered pretty much everything that we need about the Visual Builder, the click modes, the toolbar, and so on. One other thing that you can also do is, let's say you prefer to work with this builder on either sides of your desktop. You can actually click like this, and then drag it over here to the right like that. And then every time you work on this, you'll be working on the controls from the right side like that. And let's say you prefer it on the left side. Again, all you have to do is to click and hold down and then just drag it all the way to the left like that. And then this becomes your controls. But, it's a preference. If you prefer working like that, this is what you can do. So it goes on all sides of your screen, And this could also come over here to the top as well, if you prefer doing that. So all the controls that you need will be accessed right here on the top. But I prefer, the old way. I just keep it right here in the bottom. So that's my preferred workflow. Okay, so we're going to round up our show. If you have any more questions, please just post them in the comments box, and I'll do my best to respond to them now. In fact, let me just check. Matt says, is there a way to reload animations that I configure for a module, row, etc.? Yeah, what I normally do is if you go into the controls and move any of the sliders, it just does the animation again. Or if you finalize your animations and you want to reload them, you can actually save that page and then reload that actual page, because that will bring up all the animations again. Okay, I'm just going to check here on Facebook and see if there's any comments. Okay, no comments so far. Great. So if anyone has any more questions, please do drop them in the comments box, either on Facebook or on YouTube, and I'll do my best to respond to those questions. If I can't answer any of those questions and they need the developers to jump in, I will do my best as well to reach out to our developers and try and respond to your questions. So to everyone that joined me today, I'd like to say thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it, and you've made this show very exciting for me, and it just makes me want to come on these live shows, because I know there's an audience out there that's there when I do my show. So thank you very much again. And next week I'll also be here next week with a Divi feature update. I'm not sure what I'll be working on, but definitely we'll be here, and I'll be talking about a topic which I think will be beneficial to you and will help you in your web design workflows. So thank you very much, and have a great rest of the week, and I'll be joining you next week, and take care. Thank you.